Welcome back to my new video. This video, we're going to talk about how we can use AWS S3 CLI. Okay, so the whole idea is that we want to copy files or move files or sync files, okay, or list files, remove S3 buckets, make S3 buckets, and things like that. So we want to, let's say on our local computer, we want to move files or upload files to S3 bucket. And also we want to be able to download files from S3 bucket to our local computers, okay? And also there are cases where we want to move files from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket. Okay, so basically these are the three things that we want to look at. Okay, copy files or upload files to S3 bucket, download files from S3 bucket to our local computers, or we want to copy files between S3 buckets. Okay, so that is the whole idea. So I'm going to switch back to my terminal. So I'm in my terminal. These are the files that are in my folder, my current working directory, readme, 2 PNG files, 1 CSV, and 2 TXT files, and then 1 folder. So let's look at the tree. So once we look at the tree, see this folder has another project.zip file in there. Okay, so if you don't have let me do this. If you don't have AWS installed on your machine, please do install it. I'm going to leave the link in the description box, or you can just go to Google and type AWS CLI, and you'll find a tons of links that can help you install AWS CLI. Okay, after you get it installed, all you need to do is to configure it. So you just type AWS configure. Once you type that, it will ask you for your access key and then secret key and a whole bunch of information that you paste it in. So that is the process. So we're not going to go through that because that is not the purpose of this video. Okay, so let's start. So the first thing we are going to do is to create a bucket. Okay, we want to create a bucket. Okay, before I start, let me list the buckets that I have currently. I'm going to say AWS S3 LS. Okay. Once I do that, you can see all the buckets that I have on my S3. Okay. These are all the bucket names. Okay. So I'm going to create a new bucket, and I'm going to say AWS S3 MB. MB meaning that make a bucket. And I'm going to say S3 // and then I'm going to say YouTube, and then I can also specify the region that I want to create this bucket. So you can leave it blank, or you can specify -- region, and then you specify, let's say, US East -1. So this is the region that I'm creating my S3 bucket. I'm going to enter. Okay, so the bucket name is already created. So the bucket name needs to be unique. So I'm going to add another name to it. So I'm going to say elbow. Okay. So that is the name of my bucket, YouTube elbow. Okay, so now you see it's created, make bucket YouTube elbow. So now we can list the buckets ls. So now, as you can see, that is the last bucket or the current bucket I just created, this one. Okay. So we can also list the contents of a bucket, but I'm going to do that later on. Okay, once we have some files in our bucket, I'll show you how to show the content of all these buckets. Okay, so now we want to copy files. Okay, we want to copy files from our local directory to the remote bucket. Okay, so I'm going to start with the copy command. So let me clear the screen. I'm going to say AWS. So, okay, so let's do this. AWS S3ls. We want to list YouTube-elbow. We don't have anything in that bucket. So what I'm going to do is I want to copy all these files except the readme.md. Okay. So I'm going to copy AWS S3CP dot, meaning that I'm copying every single file recursively except .md. Okay. So what this command is doing is I'm going to copy every single file in this working directory, okay, to this S3 bucket recursively, meaning that every single file, okay, but I want to exclude .md, okay. Okay, that is what I'm doing. I want to exclude .md. So I'm going to run this. So as you can see, the files are uploading. It's done. You see, so the sales is copied over. All the files are copied over. .csv, they are all copied over, except this file, readme.md. Okay. So what we can also do is we can create another bucket. Okay. So let's call it AWS S3 make bucket. In the same region, we want to call it elbow 2. Okay. So once we do that, we can list everything in our S3 bucket. So as you can see, these are the two buckets we just created. Okay. I'm going to clear the screen. So what we can also do is that we can copy single files. Okay, now S3ls YouTube elbow. You can see all the files are here. Now I want to copy just this single file to the YouTube elbow bucket. So I'm going to say S3 copy. I'm going to copy to this bucket. So I'm going to say readme.md, and then I copy that over to YouTube-elbow 2. Okay. That is what I want to do. So as you can see, the file is now copied over to YouTube elbow 2 /readme.md. Okay, so if I list the content of that bucket, ls YouTube 2, you can see the file that's in there. Okay, so that is how you copy files from your local directory to S3 bucket. Now, what we want to do is to copy files from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket. So what I want to do is that I want to copy market.csv from the YouTube-elbow bucket to YouTube-elbow 2. Okay, so that is what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say AWS S3 copy from S3 YouTube-elbow /market.csv. I want to copy it to S3 YouTube-elbow 2. Okay, so basically I'm copying this market.csv to YouTube-elbow 2. Okay, I'm not moving it, I'm just copying it over. Okay, so you have copies of these two files in separate buckets. Okay, so it's been copied over. So if you want to check AWS S3 ls YouTube-elbow 2, you can see that the file is copied over. Okay, so that is how you copy files between two different S3 buckets. So first we look at how to copy recursively from our local to S3 buckets, and then we copied a single file from our local to S3 bucket, which is YouTube-elbow 2, and then now we're able to copy from one bucket to another bucket. So now we want to look at how we can download files from S3 buckets to our local directory. Okay, so let me clear the screen. So now I'm going to delete this market.csv file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say rm market, going to delete it. So now you see that file is gone. Okay, so I'm going to say I want to copy from AWS S3 copy from elbow 2, YouTube-elbow 2 to my current working directory. So that is the dot. Okay, so it should download it from YouTube-elbow 2 to my local, my current working directory. So if I hit enter, so it says what downloaded. Okay, you see downloaded to my local. So if I check my local, you can see that that file is back to my local working directory. Okay, so basically that is also, I can decide to remove all the files in my working directory and then download all the files in this bucket YouTube-elbow 2 to my local working directory recursively. So all I needed to do was to add this recursive parameter or argument or options to this command, and that would download every single file from this bucket recursively to my working directory. But I don't want to do that. I just want to show you that you can download an entire files from your bucket to your working directory. Okay, just like the way we copied all the files recursively from our local to the S3 bucket, you can do the same. You can copy recursively from your S3 bucket to your local working directory. Okay, so you can also okay, let me clear this. So this is two PNG files, which are images. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to copy them over to YouTube elbow 2 bucket. Okay, so I'm going to say AWS S3 copy to this bucket. I want to copy to YouTube elbow 2 bucket. I want to copy everything in this working directory. And I want to include or I want to exclude something. Okay, so these two parameters you can work with. So let's do this. So I'm going to say -- include .png, and then we pass in the asterisk. I want to copy everything, including the images file. Okay, so if I want to copy over everything without images, I'll just say exclude the images. So let's run this. Okay, they say what? Upload failed to. Okay. So let me pass in orders.txt. I want to also include okay, so as you can see, it was able to upload the orders.txt to this bucket. So let's check what the content of that bucket. S3ls YouTube 2. Okay, so because I just copied only this one, it copied just that txt without making use of the include. Okay, so that is what is happening here. Okay, so you have to be careful whenever you are using these parameters. Okay, so if I have done it recursively, okay, if I have done it recursively, it should have been able to copy it and included all the .png files. Okay. Yeah, so basically that is the idea. So let's do that. Okay, let me show you how. So I want to include a PNG, and then I want to say the current working directory, and then I want to do it recursively. Recursive. Okay, so that is the command. Okay, so let me exclude it rather. Okay, let me include it. Okay, so it's copying everything over, including the PNG files. Okay, as you can see here, it copied everything over. Okay, and what else can we do? We can also move files. Okay, we can also move files. With the move command, it's going to remove it. Okay, so let's look at AWS S3 MV. MV is to move the files from one position to another, okay, but it's going to remove it permanently. Okay, so let's move. Let's check the content first and see what we can move. ls YouTube. Okay, there is market.csv. We want to move it to this this bucket. Okay, so what I can do is let me remove. Okay, so let's remove it first. S3 RM S3 : YouTube -elbow 2 market.csv. So we want to remove this market.csv from YouTube elbow 2. Okay. So once you do that, that file has been deleted. So we don't have it anymore. So let me clear the screen. So if we look at AWS S3 ls YouTube, as well as YouTube 2, we can see that we don't have market. We have market.csv in the YouTube elbow, but we don't have it in YouTube elbow 2. Okay, so now I want to move this file market.csv to YouTube elbow 2. Okay, so this is the command we have to look at. AWS S3 MV. We use the command MV for move. So we want to move it from S3 YouTube elbow to S3 YouTube elbow 2. Okay, so all I need to do is, what am I moving? Market.csv. That is what I'm moving. Okay, you can also move all the files from elbow recursively to YouTube elbow 2. Okay, you can do that recursively. And you can also do that by excluding or including certain files that you are trying to move. Okay, so let's run this command. You see, it tells you that what is being moved. It's been moved from here to, you see, to this bucket. Okay, so if we look at elbow, YouTube elbow, you see the file market.csv is gone. And if we look at elbow 2, you can see that the file is moved to this bucket. Okay, so basically, that is how you move files. So as we saw earlier, if I want to delete this md readme.md from YouTube 2, all I need to do is AWS S3 RM meaning that remove, and what I want to remove is readme.md. So I want to remove that file, or if I want to remove recursively every file in that, okay, so let me remove every file recursively from YouTube elbow 2. So I'll just specify recursive, meaning that I want to remove all the files in this bucket. You see, all the files have been deleted from that bucket. Okay, so I could have excluded. Okay, so if we look at AWS S3 RM2, I could have removed everything. I could remove everything recursively, exclude just the images. Okay, so I could remove everything except PNG, exclude everything except TXT. Okay, so I could do that as well. You see, deleted everything except PNG and then the TXT. Okay, so let's look at AWS S3 LS YouTube. You see, it deleted everything except the image, okay, the images and then the TXT files. Okay, so that is how you remove files from S3 bucket recursively. But again, you want to set these conditions that don't remove PNG files, all the files with the extension PNG, and then all the files with extension TXT, don't remove them. Okay, so this is how you remove files from your S3 bucket recursively. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here, and then we'll continue in the next couple of videos. The video is getting too long, so I'm going to pause it here, and then we'll continue. So I'll see you in the next one.